swinging a drive, right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone. Fly the W.
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawley-Jean.
This is the Fly the W podcast, episode 359. And Crawley, the Cubs, they are kings of the comeback. Wow, what a unbelievable 4 days at the Federal Landmark. I know you're not a big fan of the 4-game series, nor am I. But when you sweep the 4-game series and you do it the way they do, I guess we will be able to enjoy it. More on that in a minute. Of course, we are part of the Blue Wire Network. And don't forget to listen, download, subscribe, most importantly, review the podcast. Follow on all the socials. I'm at Mully and Haw on X.
You can follow me at Crawley's Cubs on X, Blue Sky, and TikTok, and Crawley's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads. You can email us, crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com. And, you know, Dustin, before the game today, I said, hey, Cubs, can you just have a blowout just so I can get the blood pressure down? And they kind of obliged, but even at the end, it still felt a little bit dicey. But somehow, some way, these Cubs keep finding a way to win.
Keep finding a way to win. There, I mean, all sorts of things to go over. And Crawley, with the win and with the sweep, they are now tied with the Yankees and the Braves for the best record, not just in the National League, but all of baseball. And now they're going to pack their bags, get on air Ricketts, and they're going to head south to Texas. And that will be a decent series. There's no doubt about that. You want to review the predictions from last time we got together?
You know, we will, Dustin. Here we go.
Some predictions. We got 4 games. I'll go first this time, Crawley. I like where the Cubs are at. They're playing really good baseball right now. I want to say 3 out of 4. Your pitching, previews have me a little bit nervous. I'm going to say 3 of 4, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's 2 out of 2. They're not going to sweep them. They're not going to sweep the Reds. They're not. So they could be, 2 or 3 games up when we get back together on Thursday early evening to wrap this one up. So my prediction will be 3 out of 4, but I'm leaning 2 for 2.
I'm going 3 out of 4, and I'm going to tell you.
You're going 3 out of 4 as well. Okay.
I feel like that the Reds are struggling. The Cubs are hot. The Cubs are on a heater. I'm going to tell you, I think game 4, Shota Imanaga versus Rhett Lauer, I think that easily goes to the Cubs. Game number 2, I feel like Andrew Abbott's scuffling. I think that Jameson, I think you're going to see Matt Shaw in. I think you're going to see Alex Bregman sitting in that one. I don't know if PCA is going to be in that one, but I see Tyone has been pitching better as of late, and Abbott's been struggling. That's game 2, I think. The one that I'm iffy about is Cabrera versus Chase Petty, because I always get nervous when they call these kids up that no one's ever seen.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say that's going to be win number 3, but that one has me nervous, and I have the Cubs losing game 3. I have Colin Ray losing to Brady Singer. Yeah,
pretty
we were both
good,
3 out
Crowley.
of 4. Not bad.
Pretty good. Yeah, I did not think you'd sweep. I mean, sweeping a 4-game series is very rare, and now we're about to get into how, in fact, they swept a 3-game series. So, Crowley, let's start with game number 1. Edward Cabrera, Chase Petty. Crowley's keys to this one, and key number 1 was?
Bottom of the order Blues. I was worried about the Cubs facing off against Chase Petty. You heard it in my predictions. He got his first start in the bigs this season as he was called up from AAA, Reds number 7 prospect. And he really seemed to have the Cubs number, especially the bottom of the order. Through the first 8 innings, the bottom of the order, Bush, Kelly, PCA, Dansby were a combined 0 for 12 with 2 walks. The worst of it for me came down in the bottom of the 8th, Cubs down 1 run. Moises Ballesteros walks. Graham Ashcraft gets the next 2 outs, but then walked the next 2 batters to load the bases for Carson Kelly. But Kelly struck out on 3 straight pitches. Dustin was like, boom, boom, boom. I'm at this game, right? So I get there early. I'm running to get there early because they move the start up, 6:05. Get there early.
There's a weather, right? Weather's in the area, right? Mm-hmm.
Weather's in the area. And here we go. I run in. I've got grabbing myself a brewski, ready to get there. I'm literally puffing and puffing, 6:05 first pitch, and then they bang it all the way to 7:50. And so, it was
Now you got
just a
plenty of
wild one.
time to bang some beers.
Now, I got to tell you, key number 2 are walks and home runs. The wind was howling out a lot worse before the rain delay. They didn't have the flags. The flags that show like who's in first, second, third in each of the divisions.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When the winds were really bad, they pulled those down and they pulled the retired jersey ones down. And it was really bad, but it wasn't as bad. It was still blowing out a little bit. Top of the third, JJ Bleday hits a solo home run to put the Reds up 1-0. Then in the top of the fourth, Will Benson, the number 8 hitter, batting 192, walks on 5 pitches. The next batter, Ke'Bryan Hayes, whose average is 126, hits a wind-aided home run that bounces in and out of the basket to extend the Reds' lead to 3-0. We've said it over and over again. If the wind is blowing out, you can't give up those walks. It turns solo home runs into crooked numbers. And when if a guy's not hitting 200, then just put it right in the middle. Let's see what he can do. But just frustrating. Youngster Chase Petty will learn that lesson as well, because in the bottom of the fourth, Petty's going to walk the first 2 batters, Dustin, and then Seiya Suzuki crushes one 455 feet to tie the game at 3 for Seiya. That was his 6th home run of the year. But Dustin, take a look a little bit here at what, when you look at what Seiya Suzuki had with that home run, it was just so crushed right here. This is the list of the longest home runs this season. He's on it. He's on it with Shea Langoliers from the A's, has 467. Former Cub Cam Smith, 462. Schwarber's in there. Jordan Walker of the Cardinals, 459. Aaron Judge, 856. And then Seiya Suzuki at 456. And Seiya Suzuki at 455. And when you take a look at the longest home runs at Wrigley since the start of 2022, this is from Sarah Langs. Both Seiya Suzuki, 459 feet on August 1st, 24. And then on Monday night, 455. But Dustin, that one was crushed.
No,
and again, if he doesn't walk,
never a doubt.
If he doesn't walk the 2 batters, it's a 3-1 lead. You can't do it. So there would be one more home run in the game. We'll talk about that in a minute. But there were 9 runs scored between the 2 teams. 7 of those runs came via the long ball, and 3 of the other runs on those homers came via walks. So again, the walks and the home runs were really the key to this game as well. But key number 3, Cubs never quit. You might hear this a couple times. Down 3-0. Cubs come back. Seiya Suzuki, home run in the 4th. Top of the 8th, Ben Brown comes in the game. First thing he does, leadoff walk. How many times do those come around to score? I don't even know. I think like 68% of the time or something like that. Tito Francala calls on Blake Dunn to be a pinch runner. He steals second and scores on a Spencer Steer single to put the Reds up 4-3. Some good small ball by the Reds to manufacture a run. Really good throw by Ian Happ. Almost got done at the plate, but it's just a little bit late. But we talked about the Cubs trying to fight back in the 8th. They load the bases with 2 outs. Kelly strikes out on 3 pitches. Top of the 9th, Ryan Rolison. Like we're at the point where we're just making up guys and pulling them off the street. Ryan Rolison pitches a 1-2-3 inning to keep the deficit at 1. Bottom of the 9th, Rangers closer Emilio Pagan on the mound. PCA hits one 400 feet with an exit velo of 103, but it's not high enough. Dane Smith, who had come into the game to pinch run in the 8th, runs back to make the play. He slightly mistimes his jump and slams against the brick wall. The ball's rolling around on the ground, and Pete motors into third with a leadoff triple, and the place is going nuts. Tying run 90 feet away, no outs, but Dansby strikes out on 4 pitches. Cannot do that, Dustin. 3 of them swinging. Just an awful at bat. Now
there's a bad approach. It was a bad approach, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's 1 out, and Nico Horner's up the bat. Tough situation for Terry Francona. I don't, envy him in that situation. Me personally, I would have walked Nico. That would have brought up the DH spot, and then Bregman, I would have rolled the dice with that. They elect to pitch to Nico, and Nico does what Nico does. Sack fly to tie the game. Interesting side note, though, when that play happens with PCA running with the, PCA's running, you're thinking there's no way he's not going to score. It was really close. Bleday gunned that throw.
Way closer than you would have thought, right?
Very close. 98 miles per hour on the throw. And marquee cameras caught PCA upset with Shaw having a very animated conversation in the dugout about Shaw not signaling from, down, slide. It should be very demonstrative. And so it's not a big deal.
But
And if you,
well, okay, I want to do. You want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, let's go.
We got into this a little bit on the Mully and Haw show. Obviously, this type of stuff we talk about now. In the moment, I didn't pay attention to whether Shaw had, demonstratively, if that's what PCA wanted, had done that. But after going back and watching the replay, to me, I think Shaw was even surprised that the throw was as fast as it was and so online. But it looked to me like Shaw was almost putting down like a bunt sign because he had his bat in his hand and he was moving the bat with both hands and he was moving it down. That's what I saw. Again, like, I love PCA. I picked him a couple years ago to be the hottest star, regardless of sports, before the Bears drafted Caleb Williams. Truth be told. Okay. But tap the brakes a little bit, PCA. I mean, the kid, I'm just saying, like, I thought it was a little demonstrative. Okay. Here's the difference. If he would have been out, then I could see PCA being ticked off. But I mean, PCA didn't need to slide into third, and he did. And part of it is because he was looking to blow the roof off the joint, and he did. I mean, why not just slide into home? I mean, he's not opposed to sliding. So why not just slide? I mean, I'm just saying, everybody was surprised, and all of a sudden, Matt Shaw is supposed to be the world's greatest third base coach as he throws to drop his bat and be like waving like we used to do to Sammy Sosa to tell PCA to get down. I'm just saying, I thought it was a little much for PCA. I almost never criticize PCA in that spot. I thought he was a little out of line.
I think a lot of people like to criticize PCA, and I think this is something that happens in a dugout. And if you've been listening to the Lovable Reunion podcast with David Ross and Anthony Rizzo, they talk about these guys. They'll yell, they'll snipe at each other, they'll do whatever. Things are going to happen in the heat of the battle, and Pete's just coming off there. But he's kind of showing him this is what you have to do. Now, that is the job of the person at home plate. You're sitting there at a bat. You have nothing to do. You're watching the play in front of you. Pete's watching his teammate to see what he's supposed to do. Just like when he slid into third, he watches his teammate there, or his coach. But that's what you're supposed to do. And it didn't cost him this time, but you make sure you let him know real well so he doesn't make that mistake again. Because if all of a sudden he was tagged out, you would have been pissed off at Matt Shaw. And so
I don't disagree with that. But again, he wasn't. That is all my point. I understand the whole thing. I just thought I didn't want that. And sometimes this is what happens, maybe on sports talk radio, maybe on various podcasts. I didn't want that to get in the way of an unbelievable walk-off win. That's right. You know what I mean? I didn't want that to be the storyline of that game, was that, PCA had a beef with Shaw. I didn't want that to be the narrative, if you will. And
I don't think he does. It's baseball. And
right. I mean, not a beef. I mean, in the moment beef. Maybe I should restate that. And in the moment beef. Yeah. Well, in the heat of the moment.
Right. Well, I think he learned his lesson. I think he's not going to do it again. And so with the game tied, Matt Shaw is going to pinch run, who pinch ran from Ballesteros in the 8th, is pulled out of the game. And Craig elects to go with Michael Conforto, who hadn't had an at-bat since April 29th against San Diego 6 days prior. He works a 3-2 count, and on the 6th pitch of the at-bat, hits one 405 feet to center for the walk-off. That was Michael's first Cubs home run and the first walk-off home run of his major league career. Cubs win 5-4. Dustin, this is what the skipper had to say about what Conforto did in that game.
What Michael did is it's so hard. I mean, he didn't have an at bat this weekend. So there's no at bats in 4 days. There's nobody on base, and it's, but he's got the ability to do that. And he got to pitch up and put a great swing on it. When somebody goes and pinch hits there and they haven't been playing much, and just how difficult of an at-bat that is. Just before the home run, he just puts together a good at-bat, right, to get to that pitch. And it just respect for how hard that at-bat is. And to deliver in that situation is, just really hard to do and should make you enjoy it even more.
I mean, think about that, Dustin. No at-bats in a week, and then here you go in the 9th inning. Good luck.
Yeah. Listen, again, Craig is pushing the right buttons, man. He keeps on pushing the right buttons, and that's just a testament to him. So we have to give him major props on that. All right, game number 2. Jamison Tyone, Andrew Abbott. Crawley's keys to the game. What was number 1?
Excellent pitching. Typical Jamison Tyone start. He gave up a couple long balls, but not much help. Top of the first, second batter of the game, J.J. Bleday, who had a really good series, takes Tyone deep, Cubs down 1-0. Tyone would give up a single in the first. He would then sit the Reds down in order in the second and third. He got in a jam when the Reds loaded the bases in the fourth with 2 outs, but he got Matt McLean to fly out to end the threat. Sat him down in order in the fifth and the sixth, and with 2 outs, he gave up a solo home run to Nathaniel Lowe. Cubs trail 2-0. JMO's night was over. He went 5 2/3, gave up 2 runs, 5 hits, 1 walk, 2 Ks, 2 home runs, Dustin, 2 solo home runs. Just missed that quality start. But I think people keep forgetting JMO on this team. If it was set up the way it was supposed to be without all the injuries, this should be your 4th or 5th pitcher, right?
4th or 5th, yep.
And he keeps him in it every time. Javier Assad finished the inning and pitched the 7th. He didn't allow a base runner and had 1 K. For Assad, it was a long time since we saw him, April 25th, when he got rocked by the Dodgers for 6 runs. Jacob Webb took over in the 8th, didn't allow a base runner. And so Tyone, Assad, and Webb kept the Cubs in it to set up another dramatic finish. But Dustin, when we take a look at key number 2 to this game, again, I'm going to defer to the manager, Craig Counsell, who kind of put it perfectly.
We created a lot of opportunities as the game went on, 4th, 5th, 6th, I think 7th and 9th. I think we created like multiple runners on base and didn't necessarily get the big hit, but we pitched so well that we got the job done and were able to tie the game. And so and then it's just the pitching, man. We stayed in the game with the pitching. The pitching was incredible. The bullpen was incredible today, and got ourselves another win.
So for the second night in a row, the offense didn't get much done in the first 7 innings, even though they had plenty of scoring opportunities against Andrew Abbott and the Reds' pen. Bottom of the 4th, Cubs got the first 2 base runners on, Nico and Bregman, but they left them stranded. Bottom of the 5th, Cubs at first and second, 1 out, leave them stranded. Bottom of the 6th, Cubs get a 2-out rally, load the bases. Moises Ballesteros grounds out. Cubs finally break through in the bottom of the 7th, 1 out. PCA singles, steals second, Nico walks. Alex Bregman would hit an RBI single. Cubs trail 2-1. Run comes around to score. Runners at first and second, 1 out. You're hoping they tie it, but then they strand those 2 runners. Ian Happ would strike out and Seiya would ground out. And at this point in the game, after the bottom of the 7th, Cubs were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position and had left 9 men on base. And luckily the Cubs had a little bit more magic, and that's key number 3 right there. Let's go to the bottom of the 8th. Dansby Swanson lines out. Cubs down to their final outs. Who else but Michael Busch comes up and hits one 427 feet to right center, 108 miles off the bat to tie the game up. And so here we go again. Top of the 9th, lights start flashing. Sounds of gasolina start pumping from the speakers. Daniel Palencia makes his first appearance since April 12th when he went on the IL. He pitched a scoreless inning, gave up 1 hit, no walks, no Ks. It was a good return, but something to keep an eye on for me, I guess, is fastball speed. We know that Daniel Palencia's fastball is the key to it all. And when he came in, Dustin, you're talking premium gasolina right here. 101, 102 miles an hour roughly. But if you look at the last few 4-seam fastballs, starts dropping to 99, 98. Again, I don't know if it had anything to do with adrenaline, right? Or what, but just keep an eye on it. Something. Bottom of the 9th, Reds closer Emilio Pagan comes into the game, and after throwing his first pitch, Dustin, he goes down with a hamstring injury. They got to get the cart him off.
I mean, it looked like he got shot in the leg. I mean, the way he reacted, it's like he got shot. I hope it all works out for him, but boy, he went down in a heap.
Yeah, it didn't look good. And in comes in Jose Franco, who Terry Francona did not want to go to. He's just awful. He's got as much control as 2 rabbits on their first date. Nico draws a 4-pitch walk. Alex Bregman lines out on a 3-1 count. Ian Happ walks. Seiya got to a 3-1 count and popped up. Dansby would fly out to end the threat. He was the only guy that didn't get it to three balls there. But after this, Dustin, the Cubs were 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position, 12 men left on base. Top of the 10th, in comes Ryan Rollinson. First round draft pick by the Rockies in 2019, bounced around throughout his career, claimed off waivers from the White Sox in January. The White Sox cut him. That's what the White Sox thought of him. And he had a 7.02 ERA with the White Sox last season. He's called up on April 14 with Matt McClain as the Manfred man at second. Rollinson strikes out the first two batter, walks Dane Myers before getting Ellie De La Cruz to ground out to end the inning without giving up a run. Dustin, if I told you Ryan Rollinson did that, you would tell me who, right?
Who?
Yeah. It's just unbelievable. And so he comes in and gets it done. And now we get to the bottom of the 10th. Dansby Swanson, the Manfred man for the Cubs. Michael Busch up to bat. Sam Mole on the mound. He gets Busch to hit one right to Ellie De La Cruz, who I don't know who was positioning their infield. He was in the perfect spot. It was right to him, kind of an in-between hop, but he lays it. And it ends up in the outfield. Dansby comes around to score. Cubs win. Dustin, I mean, Ellie De La Cruz has got to know the situation, has got to know you can't let that ball get past you. If it hits you in the chest, hits you in the nuts, hits you in the head, whatever, you can't let that ball get behind you.
Can't let it get past you. 100% accurate.
Oh my God. And so great base running by Dansby to get behind there. After the game, Dustin, I mean, we can take a look at, I mean, there's going to be a lot of craziness here. But at this point, after this game, the Cubs were second in most comeback wins with 11. They're going to get one more added to that list. Most walk-off wins, 5. They're going to add to that as well. And Dustin, when you take a look at this point at the game 2, after game 2, best 36 game starts, the 2016 Cubs were 27-9, 2026 Cubs 24-12, 1969 Cubs 24-12. So this team is with the legendary teams as far as what they've been able to do so far.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Game 3, Colin Ray versus Brady Singer. Key number 1, Ian Happ makes history. We talked about this before. Is he going to be in a Cubs Hall of Fame? You're going to have to guess that he is, because he has now passed Alfonso Soriano. He has sole possession of 12th with most Cubs home run in history. He has 182. Hack Wilson would be next at number 11 with 190. He'd need 8 more home runs.
So you assume he gets at least past Hack this year, right? And then Hank Sauer, 198, maybe, right? Maybe.
If he doesn't get to 198, I'd be a little bit concerned.
You'd be disappointed. Okay.
I'd be disappointed. I think so. That would put him in the top 10 all times. Hank Sauer was Mr. Cub before Ernie Banks, just so people get a little bit of context.
Well, there's a little tidbit.
1952 MVP.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I heard the name, but didn't know that was so. Is he the official or the original Mr. Cub then?
I'm going to have to take a look back, but he's the first one I know that was called Mr. Cub. But Ian Happ was Mr. Cub for this night, 3 for 5 with a home run, 2 RBI, 2 runs, down 1-0 in the first. Ian Happ hits his 9th home run of the season, 2-run blast to put the Cubs up 2-1. For Ian, that was career home run 182, like we said. So that's fun. It also extended his career high 27 straight game on base streak, longest streak in the NL. Ian would score the Cubs' next run in the bottom of the 4th. Happ would hit a leadoff single, and then he would score all the way from first on a Seiya Suzuki double down the left field line, bouncing around in the corner. Seiya would come around and score on a Carson Kelly double play. No RBI on that to put the Cubs up 4-1. Ian Happ would also single in the 6th. So just such a great game. How about this? He's reached all safely in 21 of his home games this season. I mean, just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's it is unbelievable what he's doing.
Key number 2, the bullpen held until it didn't. Colin Ray had his usual lunch pail type game, nothing flashy, but that kept the Cubs in it. He gave up an unearned run in the 1st, and that was on him on a throw, and a solo home run in the 5th. Went 5 1/3, gave up 2 runs on 6 hits, 3 walks, 5 Ks. And Dustin, are a couple of these bullpen arms turning a corner? And this is why it's a key here. Jacob Webb, who I was down on, had a 6.23 ERA in April, has made 3 straight appearances in May without giving up a run. In fact, in his last 3 appearances, 4 2/3 inning, hasn't given up a hit and only 1 walk. How about that? And your guy, Phil Maton, after giving up 2 runs in each of his 3 appearances in April and going on the IL, he hasn't given up a run in 4 appearances in May. 3 1/3 innings, no run. He did have 1 bad outing on May 3rd when he was a little bit wild, but other than that, the other 3 in May, he hasn't given up a base runner. Unfortunately with Daniel Palencia up on Monday and pitching the night before, he wasn't available out of the pen. But if you can get Maton and you can get Jacob Webb where you think you need them, that would be huge for the Cubs right now.
Yeah, it'd be big, no doubt.
So basically, Craig was not going to have Palencia go back to back, especially because he's warming up on Monday.
Yeah.
Corbin Martin comes in to save the game, and Martin has had the flip numbers of Maton and Webb. He had 4 scoreless appearances when he got called up on April 19th, and he had a save against the Dodgers, but has given up runs in his last 3 appearances. He comes into the game and gives up a home run and 2 singles before getting the hook. Hobie Milner comes in. Matt McClain is looking to advance the runners with a bunt. Ball comes back to Milner, who tries to throw to the lead runner at third, double clutches, and the ball and the runner beats the throw. Everyone's safe, bases loaded, no out, tying run 90 feet away. Milner would strike out Dane Myers for the first out. J.J. Bleday would single to tie up the game and keep the line moving. Ellie De La Cruz crushes one to right. Seiya sprints back to the wall. He catches it, but as he catches it, he loses his balance and falls backwards. He throws the ball from the ground to PCA, who throws it home. But 2 runs, not 1, 2 runs score on the sac fly, and the Cubs are now down 6-4 in the ninth.
I don't think I've ever seen that, Crowley. I've never seen 2 runs score on a sac fly. I can't remember ever seeing it. I know it. I'm sure it's happened before. Never seen it personally.
I'm trying to remember, and I can't think of one in my head, but I will tell you that was a 4-run innings for the Reds, and you're thinking to yourself, yep, sooner or later this magic was going to run out, right?
Yeah.
Key number 3, a new hero every night. After blowing the lead, how does the Cubs respond? Grant Ashcraft comes into the game. He's been pitching great. He strikes out Michael Busch. It was a real close call challenge there. But Carson singles, and up comes PCA. Crowd is chanting his name. He drills a 2-run homer to left center to tie the game. Dustin, a 2-run homer to tie the game. This is the 3rd time the Cubs have come back against the Reds. Listen to what Craig Counsell had to say. He's talking to his bench coach, Ryan Flaherty, here when PCA's up.
I mean, I told Flash before the at-bat, like, you just don't know what's going to happen when Pete comes up, like it's just, it's not supposed to happen, but then it happens, and that's kind of Pete, so, I can't explain a lot of his at-bats personally.
So here's the thing, Dustin. PCA, that home run that he hit was 1.45 feet above the ground when it crossed home plate. It was his 6th career home run on the pitch, 1.5 feet higher or below, tied for most in MLB since he entered the league in 2023. So this is a pitch. It wasn't a bad pitch. It was a great pitch by Ashcraft. And PCA
he went down and got it. Right. He golfed it out of there. Right.
I mean, just unbelievable. Free baseball. Hobie Milner still on the mound. The speedy Brian Hayes is the Manford man. Milner walks the first batter he faces. Runners at first and second. No out. In comes Trent Thornton. And you say, who? Trent Thornton was called up that day. Hadn't pitched since July 31 last season when he ruptured his Achilles. He gets Spencer Steer to ground into a double play and Will Benson to ground out. No runs, no hits. It only took him 6 pitches. Bottom of the 10th, Nico Horner at second. Miguel Amaya lays down a sac bunt to move the runner to third.
How about that? I mean, how about that? He calls on Miguel Amaya to lay down the sac bunt and he gets the job done.
Unbelievable. And again, you don't see that a lot. He's just, like you said, pressing the right buttons. Alex Bregman is intentionally walked. Ian Happ strikes out. And then Terry Francona calls for the intentional walk of Seiya Suzuki so he can get the lefty on lefty matchup with Michael Busch. That's a risk. I understand it. 100% of what he's trying to do there. And Bush's numbers against lefties aren't great. But again, if all of a sudden, here's what happens. He works the count to 3-0, then 3-1, there's nowhere to put him, right? So you're either going to have to give him a cookie or you're going to have to hope he swings at something that's out of the strike zone. Wasn't even really a close pitch. Walk off walk. 3 walk-off wins in a row, Dustin.
Yeah, walk-off walk. I mean, when do you see a walk-off walk? No, not that often, right? You don't see a walk-off walk that often either.
Right.
So it's pretty amazing, and you're scratching your head. When is the magic going to run out? And that moves us to the 4th game.
Well, before we get there really quick, I got a Chris Tomka for you just because I know you love this. He is the first Cub with walk-off plate appearances in consecutive games since Starlin Castro. both singles, June 13th, 14th, 2015 versus the Reds.
Yeah, Starlin Castro, yeah.
This is the first time that the Cubs walked off in 3 consecutive games since June 18th, 20th, 2009. And
Lou
then
Piniella,
I know
it's going back to Lou Piniella days, right?
Yeah. Lou Piniella, yeah. And then Sarah Langs, who we both like. The Cubs are the first team with 3 straight walk-off wins since the Marlins in June 2024. Last time the Cubs did it, like we said, was those Lou Piniella games. That takes us, Dustin, into
this afternoon. This afternoon's game just wrapped up. We got Shota Imanaga. I saw one of your tweets from earlier. You were like, "Oh no, the Wrigley winds" on Twitter. You were worried about the direction of the wind with Shota on the mound.
And it was bizarre, Dustin, because the wind shifted a couple times in the game, like within the game, like completely shifted.
They had to go like make sure the pitcher knew, like, hey, oh, by the way, things aren't going the same way they were when we started this thing.
And anyone that, like you said, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm like, the Wrigley Winds is a great follow, and they keep you up to date during the game, what's going on. But Shota Imanaga, to me, Dustin, I mean, just unbelievable quality starts. Wind was blowing out for most of the time he was there. How about 6-inning pitch, 6 hits, 1 run, 1 of them earned, 3 walks. He started to run out of gas in the 6th inning. And so you could kind of see he was kind of walking. He was able to get a strikeout to end it. And that home run that he gave up was in the 6th. But Dustin, 10 strikeouts. I mean, again, this is a guy that basically wasn't even supposed to be, was the team said, hey, we're going to opt out of your contract. And he didn't even have to take it. He took it.
They wouldn't even pitch him in a playoff game last year, Crowley.
Carter Hawkins joined the Mully and Haw Show this morning on 104.3 The Score. And here's what Carter Hawkins had to say on Shota.
You think about the hundreds of decisions, right? The players that we could have traded away at the deadline last year, the players that we ended up bringing on, the draft picks we make, the international signs that we make. There's just so many hundreds, maybe thousands of decisions that lead to a team. But what you try to do is make sure that each individual decision is one that you can hang your hat on, that you feel really good about. And we felt really good about, Shota Imanaga on the QO type deal, and felt like this is a pitcher that is worth that deal in a vacuum, and, made that decision as such. And certainly that's one of the ones that have paid off thus far.
Dustin, Shota has allowed 1 run or fewer in 6 of his 8 starts this season. I said it before on this show. I think he's the ace. I don't think there's any question.
Hard to argue right now. And if you didn't catch that interview, go ahead and do yourself a rewind, get that Odyssey app, do the little rewind feature in the chapters. And Carter was definitely worth a listen back from earlier today.
100%.
Really good stuff with him.
We got a couple more clips from him because there was a lot of, I think it was a really great interview, and there's a lot of good questions and stuff like that. And frankly, he was pretty honest about, I think, about things, right?
Yep.
Key number 2 to this game, to me, obviously, was the big 4th inning, Dustin.
What an inning. Again, what an inning. Go back and watch highlights if you didn't get to listen to the radio or catch it on marquee. Yeah, another inning that you're just not going to – we're watching stuff over the last 4 days, Crowley, that just don't happen in normal baseball. They just don't.
Well, it was a bizarre one and they scored 7 runs, which is the most runs they've scored in a single inning this year. Back-to-back walks. Lauder leaves the game with an injury. Michael Busch singles on a ball that that I think the first baseman should have made. The bases are loaded. How about Michael Conforto? We talk about a hero every day. He's going to hit a run in this game. They have a walk and they have a great catch. In for those 3 with a run, draws a walk to put the Cubs up to nothing. Grounds into the 4, but there's a bizarre play is going to happen. It could be with Dan Johnson up to the plate. He rounds into a force out, right, to Key Brian Hayes, who makes a good play to get Michael Busch. He steps on third. He throws home, and the catcher doesn't realize for some reason that he has to tag the runner. It's not an automatic out. And so because of that, the run scores. Tyler Stevenson. And so instead of it being a double play, that should have been a double play, 1 run in.
Yep.
All of a sudden, the floodgates just open. And what did we say about the Cubs? When you make a mistake, they make you pay.
Pounce, man. They pounce. That catcher had a rough
Oh.
afternoon behind the dish. He, I bet, is getting tattooed on Cincinnati Sports Talk Radio.
Ooh. PCA would single. Miguel Amaya would single. Nico Horner would single. Moises Ballesteros.
How about Nico?
Nothing.
Nico doubled, and Amaya gets all the way. Amaya scores all the way. Unbelievable. And Nico ends up at third. It was unbelievable.
This team, I'm just telling you, it was a lot of fun. And you know what, Dustin? It should have been a much easier ending to the game.
Yeah, this is a negative. I wish they hadn't have had to got to Daniel Palencia today.
And this is what we got to talk about here when we're talking about keys to the game, because this may affect you in the very next game the Cubs play against Texas tomorrow night, right? Imanaga goes and he leaves the game with an 8-1 lead. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, no problem. And so Thornton comes in, he pitches the 7th, he gives up a hit and a walk. Don't walk people with an 8-1 lead. Just that simple. And then Hollowell
Pretty good rule.
Hollowell comes in. He just called up today, 1.2 innings, give him 2 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, Dustin, 4 walks. And you just can't do that. He comes in, he gets the first out, he walks Al Stewart, gets the fly out, 2 outs, gives up a walk to Tyler Stevenson, gives up a double, and then he walks Blake Dunn. So you're talking about 3 walks in the 9th? I mean, with an 8-2 lead? I mean, you cannot do that. And so you have to get Daniel Palencia up. And here's the thing, Dustin, when Corbin Martin blew it the other, was it game 3? Everyone's getting all mad, game 2 or game 3, whatever. They're getting all mad, but here's the problem. And you can find this on all sorts of different sites. Every day I have to check and see the usage of these bullpen arms, and you have to be careful. So you had to be careful with Brown and Assad because now you have Matthew Boyd. We're going to talk about him in segment 3, injured. You got guys that are being used all over the place. Rollinson was no good to go because he was used up. Who can you use? And you have to be careful. But now I don't know if they're going to feel comfortable in a close game with Daniel Palencia coming in the game on Friday night.
Back-to-back contests, right? So
because you couldn't hold it,
you couldn't hold it. Right, you couldn't hold it. He probably now can't throw on Friday. So then if he has to throw on Saturday, then he can't throw on Sunday. But Monday's an off day, so maybe at that point they can reset everybody.
Well, Dustin, here's the thing. As bad as that was at the end, here's what Craig Counsell had to say about this team, and I think it's worth noting right here what he kind of is feeling right now as far as the team's concerned.
I mean, I think you just make yourself hard to beat. That's what you develop this resilience and this hard to beat mentality. That's what it creates, I think. And I think a belief system like we're down in the 8th, we got a shot, and it's not always like that. And comebacks and late inning stuff creates that. Sometimes you just need to see it to believe it, and I think this team is doing that.
Dustin, this team believes. This is from OptStats, and this was before the games 3 and 4. This was done before game 3 on Wednesday. 17 total wins. Now it's up to 19 total wins lately. You got 11 comeback wins, 9 wins after allowing the first run, 6 1-run wins, 4 walk-off wins, 5 walk-off wins, 5 wins when trailing in the 8th or later. And then you're talking now about 4 extra inning wins. This team, Dustin, they believe. They don't think they're going to lose. And that's something. The Cubs 14-game, now 15-game home streak now is the second longest at Wrigley Field. They had an 18-game in 1935. Another 7-0 homestand. So this is the 7-0 homestand. How many times it happened since 1916 when the Cubs moved to Wrigley?
Yeah,
it happened.
This is wild too, right? This is wild.
Happened in 1918, happened in 1970, 2008, 2015, last month in April, and now this time. So this
2 times in this year, and we're only, a third of the way through May.
This is only their second best 37 game start in the live ball era since 1920. The only better time was 1916. Dustin, this team just keeps doing things that defy the imagination.
You are listening to the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network. It is episode 359. The Cubs are the king of the Cutbacks. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. You got a 5-star review, we'll take it. You can email us, crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com. And don't forget, you can watch us, as you might be right now, on the Crawley's Clubhouse YouTube page. In this segment, we preview Cubs Rangers in Arlington, Texas, with John Moore, host of the DLLS Rangers Weekly podcast, including pitching matchups, season moves, and which players are hot and which players are not. You are listening to the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network. It's time to go around the bases, check in on some odds and ends. Also, we're going to preview the big game coming up against the Rangers. Of course, we have some injuries to talk about as well. Don't forget, listen, download reviews, subscribe to the podcast. 5-star reviews, we'll take them. Email us, Crawley's Clubhouse at gmail.com. All right, Crawley, where would you like to start?
Well, we got some power rankings updated from Sunday, and Dustin, it is pretty interesting because of the way that it lines up for the NL Central, which is just absolutely ridiculous right now. You have every team in the NL Central in the top 10 of MLB's power rankings. How about this? You have the Pirates at 10. They dropped from 7. They've kind of had a little bit of a cold streak right now. The Cardinals are now, they swept the Pirates and they took 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. They're number 9. 8 is the Brewers. 7 is the Reds. 6 is the Rays. They're having an unbelievable season. 5 is the Padres. Number 4, still the Cubs. The Dodgers dropped from number 1 to number 3.
That's
Yankees,
pretty wild. That's pretty wild, right?
They're not looking great. And the Yankees are at number 2. And number 1, Dustin, are the Braves. Just keep that in mind because the Cubs do face the mighty Braves.
Series away, right? Series away from facing the Braves on the road down in Atlanta. All right, all kinds of roster moves, injuries to talk about. Obviously, the exclamation point is Matthew Boyd, left meniscus, being dad of the year, playing with the kids, hurts the knee a little bit, and kind of fluky. But we did get some decent news today during Mullion Hall. A little breaking news from the GM Carter Hawkins on all this.
Yeah, here's what Carter Hawkins had to say about finding out about the injury.
Obviously, a surprise to all of us. Not something we were expecting, yesterday morning, and not something that Matt was expecting. He had a surgery this morning. Went well with our doctors here in Chicago, so that's good. That's kind of the first step, and now we get into the recovery stage. I think there's a really good chance that Matt's contributing at a meaningful level here, relatively soon. It's not going to be this month, but with the vasectomies, you can get back relatively soon, and I know he's motivated to do so, and looking, probably, in the month type range. But I think there's a good chance that he'll help us out here down the road.
All right, so you're obviously David Haw is going to follow up on that because the first thing he said was a month, but he wasn't very clear. He gets more clear here.
Carter, just to follow up on the Matthew Boyd surgery this morning, if you will, you said 4 weeks was the estimate. Does that suggest then was it a trimming opposed to it was not a full repair, right?
It's not correct, yeah, but it's not 4 weeks. That would be way quicker. I'm thinking it's more than a month for sure, and then we'll kind of figure it out from there. But it was not a full repair; it was more of a trimming. So we're optimistic on a quicker timeline.
All right. So again, it's probably going to be 4 weeks, but he's not going to be throwing baseballs. You know what I mean? He's going to need to ramp back up.
He's going to ramp back up to there. So 6 to 8, right? 6 to 8 probably makes more sense.
But the tricky
thing
here
now, he's going
to
contribute, right? He's going to contribute before this year is over. That's the good news. That's
it's not.
Really
it could have been season ending. It could have been season ending.
Could have been way worse. Could have been way worse.
I was definitely I'm not going to lie. I was definitely nervous about that. We have a couple other updates, but again, with the Boyd, I mean, that's just a huge blow because now you got to take either Assad or Brown, probably Assad. Now you got to take him out of the bullpen. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And that's why you're hoping some of these other guys get healthy quick. One of them being Caleb Thielbar. He had a bullpen session on May 5th that went well a couple days ago. He's got another one more high intensity planned for May 8th. So good news on Caleb Thielbar. Hunter Harvey has resumed a throwing program. Light mound workout on May 5th, a bullpen session planned on May 8th. Ethan Roberts is he's injured, he has worked one scoreless inning on May 3rd in his fourth rehab outing. My guess is Ethan's about ready to return whenever they need him. And then how about your guy, Jordan Wicks, threw 75 pitches in 3 2/3. Now he allowed 6 runs, but again, trying to get back into it. The question is, can Jordan Wicks somehow provide something this season? This is, again, I know that Jed Hoyer's talked about this plenty. With these injuries come opportunities for people. There's an opportunity for Jordan Wicks, who may have gotten lost in the shuffle the last couple of years, if he can get it together down in AAA. If he can throw 75 pitches, then the Cubs could use him, correct?
Sure.
You're again looking for that spark. You're looking for somebody to kind of help out. Now, Dustin, couple of exciting news for some young talent on the farm. Good news as far as my guy Pedro Ramirez right here. He got the International League Player of the Month in AAA. So good news. And Brooks Capel, pitcher in High A with South Bend, got the pitcher of the month down in for High A. So here's the thing about Pedro Ramirez, I think that people have to be, thinking about. And Dustin, we'll talk more about it on the next episode, because where the Cubs are and because of the Cubs injuries, let's say hypothetically, the only guy that was injured was Cade Horton, and Justin Steele and Matt Boyd were both fine. I think the Cubs are still a legit number 1 or 2 starters short, even if those guys were there. The Cubs need an ace, and it's going to be painful and it's going to cost you. And you have to see where you are at the trade deadline. But Pedro Ramirez is an exciting young talent who's ready to break through to the major leagues. I think he's going to be one of the top trade chips the Cubs have to offer, because he's an infielder, Dustin. Where's he going to play?
Yep.
So he's not
totally
playing
blocked, right?
Completely blocked. This is no different than Gleyber Torres back in 2016. If you remember, there was nowhere for Gleyber Torres to play. They ended up getting Aroldis Chapman as far as, for Gleyber Torres, which was a deal I think that worked out for both teams. But definitely, to me, Dustin, something to kind of keep an eye on. The other thing that I thought was interesting as far as injury news is, and our friend Chicago Johnny was asking right here, any update on Jackson Wiggins? And we did have one on the Mullion Haw. Again, if you haven't listened, go to the Odyssey app, give it a listen. But this is where we are right now on Jackson Wiggins. I'm not too sure what to make of this.
Yeah, his rehab's been positive. I think he's got a live BP this weekend. So, we're getting closer to getting him back in games. Obviously, he's got electric stuff. He's the type of guy that, looks like a major league pitcher. We just got to get the consistency of performance once he's healthy, and then obviously the consistency of health. So he's definitely a guy that's on the radar, but not somebody that we're writing in ink. I think our step 1 here is just get him healthy. And then step 2 is figure out if he can help us. But, hopefully that'll be a good problem to have if we have to figure out a way to get him into our rotation or our bullpen at some point down the line.
All right, so he's getting ready to throw, but I don't think he's
good. Well, like he said,
here.
though, good problem to have, right? Good problem to have potentially. So, okay. Yeah.
Hey, MLB viewership. I thought this was interesting. Your guy, John Heyman. Did you see this right here?
I did.
I think this is important. Viewership for national exclusive MLB games through the first weekend of May is 2.28 million, a 44% increase over last year, and the best start in 9 years.
Well,
Dustin,
I have something to say about this also.
Yes.
Right? Like, this is with NBC, regular old in Chicago, Channel 5. I don't think they've shown a Sunday night game of the week yet. They've all been Peacock only because of the NBA playoffs. So when we get past that, I think that number is going to increase even higher, because I think you'd get more numbers on NBC, and I'm assuming, I think that it'll be on both Peacock and NBC when we get to that stage. It won't be exclusive to NBC5 in our area, but I think it'll be on both, and that should only make those numbers go up, 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 up.
I just think the important thing, and I'm trying to stay in the moment, because Dustin, runs like this don't happen forever in baseball. They're rare. Right. And I'm trying to enjoy this as much as I can. But when I see something like that with Heyman showing the numbers and seeing how much I think people have enjoyed the product of the game since the rule changes, and I think ABS has been another boon to this. I think it's another fun thing for viewers and makes the product better. We know about the pitch clock. We talked about the bases, the stolen bases, all that stuff. I think there's so much going for baseball right now. I'm just praying that they just figure this out before the next CBA is over. If they even lose one game, to me, it's going to be disappointing. I really hope. I just want a normal off season. I want a lot of. I want baseball to continue to grow and thrive. And I don't know if it'll ever be how it was when you and I were kids, but I really would love to see them try to figure stuff out. But Dustin, we have some predictions to make, and we have 3 different start times this weekend.
Yeah, so a little bit different than the typical, right? 7:05 Friday night, 6:05 Saturday night, 1:35 Sunday afternoon, Mother's Day. So make sure you take care of all the moms in your life on Sunday. If you have to DVR the game, Crowley, it's okay. You can DVR the game. We won't podcast till Monday. There's a day off, so no podcasting on Mother's Day. I'm just letting everybody know right now. We might do something live on Monday. Crowley's not going to make me do it. All right, so TBD, but we're going to go with Assad here, right? We're going to assume that Assad is pitching in game number 1, Edward Cabrera, game number 2, Jamison Tyone, game number 3. I think the Cubs are finally going to lose, Crowley. I don't think they're going to sweep the Rangers. But you go first this time. I'll say that. I'm going to say they aren't going to sweep them, and I'm saying they're going to lose. Now, are they going to win more than? Are they going to win 2, or are they only going to win 1? Crowley, where are you at? I know you're not going. I know you're not going sweep. There's no way.
I would tell you I'm close to sweep.
Wow. Okay, so I'm on the fence. 2 out of 3. Sweep. You feel good. You feel good on 2 out of 3.
I think Assad and the Cubs beat Kumar Rocker in game 1, but the only thing that makes me nervous is the fact that they used Daniel Palencia today, which pisses me off still. Mm-hmm. But Cabrera, I think, should beat Jack Leiter. The Rangers have a losing record at home. And then I think the toughest one for me is going to be Jamison Tyone versus Jacob deGrom. So I think the Cubs win Friday and Saturday. I think they lose Sunday to deGrom.
All right, I'll go 2 out of 3. You twisted my arm. We both got him 2 out of 3. I was kind of leaning 1 out of 3. They just had a hell of a streak. But let's see what those bats look like down in Texas, right? The deep in the heart of Texas. So that's a good thing. All right, Crowley, that's a wrap. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Email us thoughts, questions, crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com. Watch us on the Crawley's Clubhouse YouTube channel. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Hey, everything's bigger in Texas. How about some big Cubs wins? How about some offense? Let's launch some balls in Arlington. Go Cubs!
It's all over.